Prologue. Wyatt stood on the edge of the road, sweat soaking through his flannel as the summer sun beat down. He wore the lightest long sleeve he owned, a pair of jeans a month past being worn out, and red leather cowboy boots broken in by years of hard use. He tugged at his long gray beard, humming to himself. The chores weren't getting done while he stood here waiting, but if he didn't, they'd never find him. He'd watered the cows and horses, had run through their pens, even started a brush down. Still, patience wasn't his gift. He pulled his hat off, wiped sweat from his eyes, then thought about fetching a shovel from the shed to lean on. Could have been 5 minutes or half an hour when the black and white finally appeared, swerving awkwardly and slowly around potholes the county had promised to fix years ago. He remembered the fine they'd sent him after he and his neighbor filled them themselves. Government gall, if ever there was. The cruiser bounced hard into one of the deep pits, jolting the young driver forward before he slowed to a crawl. Wyatt shook his head and waited. "You, Wyatt?" the officer called through the passenger window once he pulled up. "M," Wyatt said, sitting in the dirt. "You're a city cop." "Yeah, sheriff's all tied up today." The officer tried a weak smile. Mid-20s, narrow face, fresh stubble, still full dark head of hair. Sure. Wyatt made it clear that this bit of god-bothering nonsense was time he didn't have. "You can park it here. You ride a horse?" The officer blinked, caught off guard. No. "We'll have to walk then." Wyatt headed towards the barbed wire fence. "How far's the walk?" the officer called after him from the seat of his cruiser. "About 20 minutes, Wyatt said, giving him a once-over. "Maybe 30 dressed like that." The cop glanced at the vest and the navy blues weighing him down. The heat already felt punishing. "Any faster way? Back road?" "Said you can't ride." "No shortcuts," Wyatt muttered, pulling a wooden bar from the fence to make the gate. The officer stripped down quickly vest and threw it in the cruiser before pulling his shirt back on. "You said you found a door?" he asked as he made his way back to Wyatt. "Never said that." "Mine shaft?" "Nope. Found something. Don't know what." The trail climbed, loose rocks, roots, brush, hard going in the heat. Wyatt pressed forward relentlessly, barely sweating. The cop fought for breath, feeling like he was back in boot camp. "Your son found something this morning?" they said on the radio. He asked between gasps. You lost a dog, too?" "Dog jumped in, didn't jump out." For the first time, a bit of emotion cracked Wyatt's voice. "I'm sorry," the officer offered, staring at the ground. "You steal him?" Wyatt shot back. "What? No." "Then why are you sorry?" The cop didn't answer. Wyatt shrugged, and that was the end of it. The climb proved every second of 20 minutes. At the crest, Wyatt stopped, pulled off his hat, wiped his forehead, then gestured down with the brim. The officer scrambled the last few feet up a hill, then froze. A crater yawned on the hillside, 40 feet across, 20 feet deep. At its base floated a black oval, 2 feet off the ground, its surface bleeding smoky tendrils that curled and probed outward like searching fingers. Some dragged along the soil, others reached uselessly into the air. The earth below looked freshly churned, like the thing had punched itself into the side of the mountain. "What is that?" the officer whispered. "Told you don't know." Wyatt jammed his hat back on and spit on the ground in the pit. "Maybe they'll take you serious." The officer stared, struggling to comprehend. It felt like he'd stumbled into a movie set. A smell reached him, sharp, unfamiliar, both pleasant and foul. Though the hike had been stiflingly hot, a cold breeze swept out of the blackness of the void that he witnessed. "You gonna take some pictures or something?" Wyatt asked in a tone that was as friendly as he got. Right, the officer snapped back, fumbling for his phone. No signal. He opened the camera anyway, taking shots, then switching to video. The pit groaned low and guttural. The blackness rippled and gave way to water. An orb suspended in the void. Droplets rose and fell, pulled back as though gravity obeyed only the portal. The officer moved carefully along the ridge, recording as the watery mass stretched and twisted like a living thing. Then flicker. The water was gone. Blackness returned. And from the center, something fell. A lump of shadow slammed into the earth, cloaked in an oily blackness. Smoke peeled off of its surface. Wyatt cried out and hurled himself down the slope into the pit head first. He wrapped his arms around the lump as it shifted in the air, cradling it to his chest, clawing his way up the hillside. Dirt sprayed beneath his boots and arms as he fought upward, clutching the smoking creature. "Help me," he barked, thrusting an arm upward. The officer dropped to one knee, grabbed Wyatt's hand, and hauled with all that he had. After grunts, scrapes, and curses, both men tumbled onto the ridge. Wyatt held the animal close, a dog, alive, but panting hard. Its fur was matted with shadow, oily darkness clinging to it like tar. He rubbed at it desperately, but every smear crept back, crawling along the mutt's coat. "What the fuck is that?" the officer cried. His breath hung in visible clouds. He's cold," Wyatt rasped, his own words fogging in the air. He scrubbed at the shadows with one hand, scooting back from the crater with the other. The officer staggered upright. The world had gone frigid. The shadows thickened, pooling around Wyatt and his dog, swallowing them by inches. Panic seized the cop. He stumbled back, turned to run, made 3 long strides before his vision went black. Fear took root in his chest, colder than the air itself had been.